Hey everybody, what's up? It's Ryan Groos from the Loop Loft, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things to do with loops, and that is to distort them. When most people think about distortion, they usually attribute it to distorting guitars or bass, but distortion is an amazing tool or effect to use on drums, and drum loops specifically. The good people at Izotope sent me a copy of this trash plugin, which has just been blowing my mind lately. A lot of the things I'm going to show you here you can do with any standard plugin in whatever DAW you're working with. But if you really want to take things a step further, I highly recommend you check out Trash. And not even for drum loops like I'm doing, but for your guitar sounds and your bass sounds and just experimenting with audio in general. So just to kind of show you some different ideas here, the loop we're listening to right now is a familiar one probably to a lot of you. It's a Led Zeppelin groove played by Simon Phillips. So it's from our Simon Phillips session tracks pack. And right now it's just kind of a verse groove here so we can experiment with sounds. But let's just play around. The best way I find, especially if it's your first time working with a plugin or effect of some sort, is to kind of experiment with the presets. These have been put together by obviously the people who designed the plugin and have a really good idea of how to manipulate certain aspects and really use it to its fullest. So it's a good way just to kind of look under the hood and see what it can do. So to start, there's a percussive folder here of presets, and since we're listening to drums, let's just start off with some of these and see what they actually do to the sound. So the first one's a little bit intense here, 16th Trip Blaster. So each one's totally different, it has its own vibe. That has a lot of low end and some crazy grainy stuff going on. That's a little too over the top. But here's one little tip. If you think something is too over the top, one way to try to mix things in and see if you can make it work is to obviously mix in the dry and the wet signal. So I'm still not feeling that one, but let's go to some of these other ones. That's pretty cool without even touching anything. But like I said, starting with presets is great because you can then go in and try turning on, different parts off and on that are applied to the preset and see how it affects the loop. Or add to it, so I just added the delay there. And let's look at some other presets here beyond the percussive. A really cool one folder that they have that I've been working around a lot with is the experimental folder. So let's check out some of these different distortions. So a very kind of robotic resonated preset. And again, I'm using the dry wet control if I want to bring in more of that natural drum sound or fully go full on robot. Nice way to break it down. And again, some of these are going to be, way too aggressive or too crazy, but that's the fun, just experimenting until we find something that changes the vibe. So here's a cool one. It's a little intense, but if you bring it down in the mix, kind of cool. So one trick or one approach I like to use when doing this is having a kind of a dry drum track and the affected track. So when you start arranging your song, let's say just bring in a different loop here and put it on track 4. Since we're in Ableton, we can kind of hop around here in a non-linear style. So that's obviously the levels are a little hotter. But going from that to that for a breakdown, or you can even try layering them. So if you put them on the same plane, and then a fill, and then back into it. Let's go back to the distorted track now that we have a clean one playing over it. And again, the clean one almost acts as like a pure dry signal against the distorted. So let's open up the plugin again. And let's try experimenting a little more, something a little more intense. That's too intense. Let's see here, there's gotta be too fat. That's kind of a crazy cinematic vibe to it, effect. But again, it's all about mixing it in and making it work for whatever you're doing. So I could go on for days playing with these presets, or the other option in Trash is to not even look at the presets and go straight under the hood and go full on. You can experiment with the drive and the multiband options here, filtering. You can pull and push different frequencies to really take a preset and then customize it even further. So anyway, just wanted to give you a quick look at Trash. I think it's amazing. Totally can take one standard drum loop and make it into thousands of other ideas or kind of sonic beds for you to create on top of. So don't be afraid to distort those loops. Check out Trash or whatever plugin software you're working with. Pull up some guitar amp, simulators and get crazy with their loops. But anyway, that's the tip for today. Distort those loops, have fun, and we'll see you soon. All right, guys, take care.